It is with a heavy heart that I tell you that the missing case of Riley Strain has come to a very sad conclusion. His body was found this morning around 7:30 a.m. in West Nashville, in an area they call the Nations. It was at 61st Avenue North, about 8 miles from downtown. They don't suspect any foul play. They didn't see any noticeable trauma. But at least the parents have closure. My heart goes out to the family and friends. I know this has been a tumultuous last 2 weeks for you guys. But hopefully this gives you at least a little bit of closure. And it's pending an autopsy, so we should know a little bit more as to what exactly did happen. I am curious to see how long... Well, I'm sure alcohol they would be able to detect. Do you think as many murder shows as I watch, I would know more about this in forensics? But somebody mentioned, could he possibly have been roofied? There was a credit card that he had used in the bar, which showed that he'd only purchased 1 alcoholic beverage and 2 waters at Luke Bryan's bar. So I don't know. People say that he was overserved. Maybe it was before he got in. But once that person mentioned roofied or drugged, it really, it could be plausible. If you've ever been roofied, which God hope you never have, if someone sees you, you appear really drunk. In fact, I've been roofied twice that I know of. And both times, I don't remember anything. I was on autopilot, but people that saw me said I did not seem like myself. They knew something was wrong. But if you didn't know me, I'm sure I would probably have looked very drunk. In fact, when that happened, the first time I ever was roofied, I was kicked out of a bar. And I knew how many drinks I'd had the evening because I knew how much cash I had. And me and my friend both, he didn't have cash on him. We had both of our credit card statements showing we hadn't purchased any drinks. And we knew that we hadn't. But it's devastating. I'm not saying that this is what happened, but this possibly could have been the cause of that. But that's another story that I will get to later in this podcast. Firefighters and police responded to 61st Avenue North. And like I said, it's West Nashville. It's an area they call the Nations. When a work crew spotted the body just shortly before 7:30 a.m. this morning on the Cumberland River. Riley, bless his heart, was still wearing the same shirt, had on the same shirt and watch he was wearing when he went missing. So that helped to identify him. The investigators say they didn't observe any foul play-related trauma, no evidence that suggests anything other than he just simply fell into the river accidentally. So an autopsy is going to be performed today. Oh my gosh, it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. So the family's been notified, of course, and since his disappearance, they've been actively working towards securing the river where they thought he likely fell. But I'm telling you, I'm not saying I'm psychic by any means, but I am kicking myself for not kind of going to that area, because that is the area that I said that's where they're going to find him. I just knew it. When they were doing the boats, and no disrespect for everyone that was looking, I know you put your effort into all of it. But I kept thinking in my mind, I'm like, they're not going far enough down the river. That body, bless his heart, is further down. And there's been some internet sleuths that had, everyone becomes a detective, especially with the social media out today, and we get a lot of evidence that's put before us. One guy, there's a video it looks like someone's running away from where he was last seen, and they're like, could this be the murderer? And I thought to myself, well, could that be him running? Come to find out, they released that footage and said that was him running. But again, if you've been roofied, a lot of things don't make sense. You are going to do things that are out of character or don't make sense. Again, easy to find. Yeah, I think he was 6'7", so that also is a very easy way to identify him. He was in Nashville with some of his fraternity brothers from the University of Missouri. They were in town, I think, for a formal on March 8th. That was the last time he was seen. At the time, he was kicked out of Luke Bryan's bar. Again, maybe they thought he was overly intoxicated. And yeah, that's procedure, is to evict someone from the bar if they're causing a disturbance. Or maybe he was falling asleep at the bar. That will also be something that'll get you kicked out of a bar in Nashville. But I'm sure the friends are kicking themselves for not one of them at least going with him. Which makes me think that maybe they didn't think he was that drunk if they let him go by himself. But again, that's too many questions with no answers as of yet. He was leaving the bar, and video surveillance all around downtown basically tracked his path. It tracked him going down Church Street. And if you're familiar with Nashville at all, Church Street, when you go eastbound, ends at First Avenue and turns into Gay Street. And Gay Street runs parallel with the Cumberland River. So he was last seen on video crossing onto where Gay Street is. It looks like he wasn't even paying attention to the cars. He could have gotten hit a couple of times. And at one point he stops, turns around, and then turns back around again to continue walking the direction he was going. Well, there was an officer right around that time that interacted with Riley, and it was captured on his body camera. The officer was in that area. He was responding to a burglary on Gay Street when he walked past him, and, they exchanged pleasantries. Like, the cop was like, are you okay? How are you doing? Da-da-da-da. And according to the cop, he didn't seem really that intoxicated, or else, the cop would have. Cops here will put you in the car and you'll be going home. You got to really try hard to get arrested in Nashville. But there's a timeline that we can go through to see. So like I said, March 8th, the 22-year-old, he was asked to leave Luke Bryan's bar. And he was in town for their spring formal of the Delta Chi fraternity. He left the bar around 9:45 is the time that we determine. And he told everyone he was going back to his hotel room. Friends, when they got back there, didn't find him in his room, didn't find him in any of the rooms. And then the next day reported him missing. So, to fast forward 2 weeks, here he is found. So if we backtrack, going back to where he was last seen, the manager of Luke Bryan said that he purchased 1 alcoholic drink and 2 waters. I'm assuming that goes from his tab or what have you. 9:35, our security team made the decision based on our conduct standards to escort him from the venue through our Broadway exit at the front of the building. This is according to the TC Restaurant Group, I guess the manager of that. The guy goes on to say he was followed down the stairs with 1 member of his party. The individual with Riley didn't exit and returned upstairs. So, unless that friend was really plastered too and couldn't tell how drunk Riley was, pretty irresponsible. Or they were both still relatively sober and he thought, oh, Riley's fine. Because let me tell you, everybody reacts to Rooflin differently. Again, this is just my theory. If it was roofie, I've got, and forgive me if I'm rambling on and have already repeated this, but I of course, just assume drunk, because we see this every day downtown. Several times a day, you'll see people just, I don't know how they're standing, so drunk and walking. And scarily, you'll see a lot of people alone. Where are your friends? This is why I stress everyone have a buddy system. when you go downtown, have a friend with you, one, for your own safety, two, to know where you're going, so you're not going to do anything stupid like fall in the river. Bless his heart. But I have been roofied twice, and it's kind of becoming a problem downtown. I'm hearing a lot of men especially getting roofied. You think about women getting roofied, but there's a lot of men. I know I've heard stories a few years ago where guys would wake up in the lobby of a hotel, not the hotel they're staying at, and their wallet and phone are missing. So, anytime a city starts getting big, it's not as safe as it used to be. Now, do I ever feel scared being alone downtown? Never. But it is, you've got to be a little bit more on guard than you were 5-10 years ago. So his stepfather, Strain's, I think it's his stepfather, said that when they, hold on, let me make sure I'm saying who said this right. Said the bouncers wouldn't let them out with him, that they were trying to get their bill paid. Said Whited, that Strain's fraternity brothers told him they attempted to leave with Strain, but the bouncers wouldn't let them, that they were trying to get their bill paid. So maybe trying to get them not to walk out on their bar. But here's the thing. If what they're saying is true, boo on the bouncers, because when you order a drink downtown, they take your card, run it immediately. So it's on file. So even if they walked out without paying, the bar can still charge them for everything. They don't need a signature. You walked out on your tab, you're still getting charged. So the family said that their son's last cell phone location was about less than a mile from the bar, between Gay Street and James Robertson. So, yes, that's, I think, the last time anyone saw him. And when he goes down Gay Street, you're out of camera range. Except for that camera I said that someone saw, and this may be the video they're referring to. He was seen at 9:52. About 5 minutes later, after that surveillance, I'm assuming is what they're saying. I'll try to see if I can pull this up and tell you. But somebody thought they saw a person walking fast or jogging in that direction. And again, like I said, another sleuth on the internet thought that it was maybe possibly the murderer. I always thought it was probably going to be him. So one of the frat maternity guy reported him missing, I think about 1 o'clock the next day. So you got to be freaking out, right? I can totally see you freaking out. So Michelle Whited, the mother, bless her heart, she was on the road. Within 30 minutes, she was on her way here, because this is her baby. She goes, she always talked to him several times a day. It was not usual to not hear from him, either in text or phone calls. So she said, or this is the stepfather, I think, I was literally getting ready to tee off on the golf course when my wife called me, and I turned around and went and loaded all my stuff off the golf cart and told my friend I was sorry I had to leave. So on March 12th, Luke Bryan says he's praying for the family and for them. And let me see, of course they gave any footage that they saw that they had at their disposal of him. And Luke Bryan even goes on to say, y'all, this is scary, praying for a safe return. If you have any information that could help, please reach out to the number above. So, March 12th, a surveillance video shows him stumbling, leaving the bar. Footage that I'm sure if you've been following the case, you've seen it a lot downtown. A local business, the downtown smoke and vape shop, they had some footage that showed him stumbling and falling around 9:46. And I gotta tell you, they say, they're making it sound like this happened within minutes of leaving Luke Bryan's. So if he was really that drunk, it would have taken him a lot longer than a couple of minutes to walk up. And I may be just reading this wrong. But if you've ever been roofied, I started to say, Everyone reacts to it differently. That's if he was roofied and not just drunk. Both times I was roofied, it took a while for it to kick in with me. And I think it surprised whoever was roofing me because they ended up giving up and leaving. But we just kept on. And some people, it just totally incapacitates them. Some it kicks in right away. Some it may take some time. So if he was roofied, he may have started acting belligerent in the bar. Of course, like I said, we'll have to wait for the autopsy. I'm sure they'll do a blood screening and see if anything was in the system. And if it was rooflin, I wonder if it will even show up. I know that it metabolizes through your body really quickly. When I found out I was roofied, like the next evening, I called the sheriff's department to ask, we think we were roofied. What do we do? And they're like, well, there's nothing you can really do right now. Like if you went to get your blood done, it's already out of your system because it's been 24 hours. Again, not saying that he was roofied, but so March 10th, the family and other crew went to where his cell phone was last located, was last pinged. And I said, with the phone, I know that sounds cold and callous, but I just felt it in my gut that he'd fallen in the water. So March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, his bank card was found along the riverbank. So evidently some online sleuths went to the area where they determined he was last seen, and they found his bank card on the riverbank. I mean, what more do you need to know that boy was in the water? But says, I don't really know how we found it, said Anna Clemington and Brandy Bainin, the online sleuth. I would love to say it was just dumb luck, divine intervention. It was just sitting there. And then Baden added, something needed to be found. We found something. I don't know if that something's enough. So, go on to March 18th. Police release body cam footage of that officer stopping Riley. And it just seems like they had a brief exchange of greetings. He was there for a burglary call in the area on Gay Street. They had just a little quick conversation. He asked, hi, how are you doing? I'm good, how are you? Kind of thing. And the detective, or the police officer, remained on that street for another 45 minutes. And nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Said the footage that was taken, they said no video has been discovered that shows Riley away from Gay Street after 9:52. So that's the body cam footage, I guess, was 9:52. On the 19th, a message sent from Riley's phone on the night he went missing was released. And it was to a girl he was interested in or dating that said, good lops. GOODLOPS. Not sure what that meant. And the mom definitely wasn't sure either. He's got several friends that are female, male. I don't know the individual he talked to at that time, but I'd heard that it was a female, so we don't know. Okay, March 20th. Strain's mom reveals the last text that she received from her son. So this is hard. We FaceTimed for a while. He wanted me to see around, and he was so excited. Then, I guess they were, FaceTiming, obviously. Then we hung up, and he texted that he was like, it was kind of hard to hear you, but I wanted you to see what was happening. She says, I told him, well, you boys be safe, make good choices, I love you guys. And he said, I love you too. And she added, and that's it. And that's the last that I've heard from him. So at least, if you're going to have last words to remember, those are fantastic ones. So Riley's stepfather says the family are having some tough conversations. Ooh, this is hard to say. He says, everybody knows it, everybody's thinking it, those conversations are starting to happen. It's not what we want, and I understand that people want to know what we're feeling. We're feeling frustrated, we're feeling hurt, and we're feeling depressed. No one knows what happened to Riley. I think we all know what happened to Riley. Bless his heart. All right, March 21st. Unreleased video footage shows Riley Strain walking toward the bridge. And supposedly it's the last known video of Riley. And the I don't know if this is stepmom or stepdad that said it was good to see him. The footage kind of helped piece together the path. So where he looks like he was last seen was in between these two bridges. James Robertson and possibly Woodland, but I think he'd be closer to James Robertson. Anyway, so March 22nd, today, body was found. Like I said, about 8 miles down from downtown. Sadly, where I was afraid we would have seen him. Okay, this body cam footage I'm watching right now of the officer, like, how are you doing? Said that he didn't appear distressed. He's walking, I mean, he walks oddly, but again, I don't know the guy. And he's got such long legs. I mean, he looks surreal watching him walk. And again, with that short of a conversation, it would be hard to tell if he was drunk or anything like that. That's tough. I mean, the body footage, if I saw this kid going by this footage, I wouldn't have thought much at all. Maybe he's had a couple of drinks. He's walking. He could have been walking to the garage. Or maybe past it. Maybe, and where that is, if you kept walking, you would be going down to the river. Again, you're parallel to the river on Gay Street. But there are condos down that way. There's apartments. So even though it's very dark, secluded looking if you're not from there, it wouldn't be uncommon to see people walking that way as they're probably walking back to an Airbnb, a motel, another bar. It leads to an area we call Germantown. So, he's on Broadway, makes his way over to Church, down to First, crosses First, turns into Gay Street. Gay Street winds around, going parallel with the river. He gets to the James Robertson Parkway Bridge, is what it sounds like, and that is where he's last seen. It would not be unusual, because the river's gorgeous. Who wouldn't want to, look over? Maybe he slipped, maybe he slid down the embankment, tumbled into the water, which definitely sounds like what happened. Now, could someone have mugged him and pushed him in the water? Absolutely. Could he have been knocked down drunk? Absolutely. Could he have also been roofied? That is a possibility as well. I always tell people, I'm like, make fun of me all you want. I am taking my drink with me to the bathroom. I don't care how crazy it looks. I'm bringing my drink with me. Because you never know. The first time I was roofied, my drink was 10 feet from me. And I just took that second from my back being turned to be roofied. Second time I believe I was roofied, the guy was standing right next to me. I had my drink in my hand, but I looked at my phone for a second. And it just takes that little bit of time for you to be roofied and you won't even know it. And I didn't even have much drink left. So that little bit was enough that I didn't remember pretty much 2 hours after that. So it took a while for it to really kick in and be noticeable. But like I said, some people, it's right away. So you never know. And sadly, I feel terrible for the parents and the friends. Know that you're in our thoughts. And at least he's been found and you can get a little bit of closure. Anytime you ever see something that doesn't look right, say something. I don't care how badly you think that I'm not fucking talking. Fuck.